In this video, we're going to talk about Fireworks Bitmap drawing and selection tools. And here in the Bitmap Tools area or section, we have several what we call marquee type of selection tools. With Bitmap artwork, everything is a set of pixels, like tiny little boxes, and we can, of color, and we can make selections of different areas, and we can select edges that are hard or soft. So in the properties, you're going to notice that every time we select a tool, our properties changes so that we can customize whatever tool it is that we're using, no matter what. Here I'm using the brush tool, and there are many different controls. Texture, we can set it to 0 so you don't have a texture. The stroke, we can adjust. The opacity, we can adjust. The colors that we control, you're going to use the color area of the toolbar. We do a stroke color, and that is with the brush we can make an outline of some sort, and we can use a fill color, and with the paint bucket, let's see here, we can fill this space, and it fills it all the way up to the existing pixels that are on the what we just drew. Now you'll notice that when I filled that, you can see the edges look kind of pixely. That's because the fill fills all the way up until each and every little pixel in the bitmap. And what I drew as a stroke was a very soft edge, and so the fill only goes up to the edge of where the softness disappeared. Okay, so let's try and change a color. We can use our eyedropper and select from the stroke color if I want to match that. Okay, and so now the fill color, I can fill it and match the stroke color if I want to. There's a pencil tool that we can use, and that's a little bit more of a hard edge. It's like drawing a line. We can choose something called anti-alias and make the line softer. It doesn't look so pixely, and it merges the edges with the background. You'll notice as we scroll in or zoom in, the edges are married with the background, whatever the background color is. Whereas without anti-alias, it is a hard edge and we see the pixels. This is a very low resolution picture. When we work in Fireworks, we're working with 72 pixels per inch. Okay, the eraser tool, it also, we can have a soft edge here. The edge is at 2 pixels, meaning that we have the background and the foreground. At 0, it is hard edged and we can see the hard edge pixels. Shape of our eraser, it can be round or square, and we can soften the edges and make the size different. And also we can change the opacity. I don't have to erase thoroughly, I can just erase it partially. Other tools with Bitmap, we are using some things that we would normally use in an old-fashioned darkroom. First of all, this blur tool, we can blur the edges, and in the properties panel we can change the intensity to 100% is very intense, 19% lower numbers, soften the edge at a slower rate. Another tool, sharpen, I don't use very often because it makes very contrasty the difference between one color of the pixel to another. Dodge and burn, those are darkroom tools. One makes it so that it's lighter, one makes it so it intensifies or makes darker. Okay, you can see the difference here. Works the same way as it does actually in Photoshop. Smudge tool, well, we're just going to have a lot of fun with that. So that's click and drag and it merges the pixels together as if you were to take your finger and smudge it. Rubber stamp tool is meant to duplicate an area of pixels. What we want to do is we pick an area that we like and we hold down the Alt key and click. Hold the Alt key down and click in the area that you want to duplicate. And when we go to paint with it in another area, you can see here there's a target. Well, you can't see it real well, but there's a little target there, and that shows where we clicked. That's the area we're going to duplicate. So when we click and drag in another area to paint, you can see the target moves exactly at the same rate as the rubber stamp tool that I'm using. It's like a brush. Okay. It's not going to paint when there is opacity. So the white background that you are seeing, it's there's nothing there to paint. So okay, so the rubber stamp tool is a good one that we can use. Now we want to be able to select an area. Again, Bitmap is these little pixels, and I want to use the marquee tool to click and drag an area. And if you hold down your shift key, then you can make a perfect square. You can just make a rectangle. Let's use this brush tool and we'll paint inside of it. And you can see it's like a window. And everything else is protected or blocked out. Let's pick another color, and we can still use the paint bucket if we want to just pour in some areas to fill in between. I'm just going to have a little fun with it. Okay. Let's see. Oh, let's take and blur some edges here, because I don't like the edges here really intensely. Make my brush size a little bit bigger in the properties panel. Let's soften this up a little bit. This is just a good demo. Some of the things that you can do. Let's use another one of our Bitmap tools. When you're working with Bitmap tools, it's basically what you are working with, pixels, just like you would in Photoshop. A digital image, it doesn't matter if this is a picture that you bring in or you're painting something. We're managing and working with changes to little pixels, which are little squares. And we can make these edges blurred and merged together and softer. And inside of that marquee, well, let's get rid of the marquee. And when you click and hold down your tool, well, I see this, we're going to fill this circle. All right, let's fill it with just a solid color. All right, I can't get rid of the marquee, or the selection rather. I can move it around, but I can't get rid of it until I use a marquee tool and click in a blank area. You can see here in the layers, all of the things that I just did as a bitmap. If I click that layer, or sub-layer in other words, all those things are at the same place, the same sub-layer. So if I want to put this on a separate layer, which can be an advantage, I can use the marquee, and I can surround it, and we can do things like cut, copy, paste. So I'm going to cut it from its place, and in the layers make a new sub-layer for bitmap, and then I want to paste it into that sub-layer. Okay, layers are to our advantage. Okay, and now what you'll see, I just want to show you that the circle is on a layer. I can turn the visibility on and off. They're now separated because I put that on a separate layer. Now why would I want to do that? Well, let's move it over on top of something. And in the layers, I can choose a blending mode. These are a lot of fun. You might want to experiment putting one thing on top of another. Choosing different ones, overlay, Multiply is good. I usually use multiply. And it will affect what is underneath it.